You can do this. On today's show, the guys talk about virtual reality in the classroom, game-based learning, gamification, music from Mr. C, the Google tip of the weekend, more. That's all up next on EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on this site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Yeah, hello and welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. Good afternoon to you. I'm Dave.
Hey, and I'm Jeff.
You know, hey, we've been doing this long enough. First name basis. There you go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking us out here at radio.edutechguys.com.
Yeah. Exciting times today. Fun times today.
Fun time. We're going to have a good time.
Happy times today.
We always have a good time, though. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Good times.
Even if it's just the two of us. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Hey, check us out on the web, www.edutechguys.com. You can drop down to the bottom of the page, and you'll find a nice little form there. You can reach out to us, let us know what you're thinking about us, what we should do, what you'd like to hear from us, and all that good stuff. You can also catch us on the social media, twitter.com/edutechguys, facebook.com/edutechguys. Our new host, soundcloud.com/edutechguys. Heck, just go out to Google, type in EduTechGuys, EduTechGuys, one word, and you'll find us, I promise. I paid a little small gnome that lives in Alaska in a hole in the back of the Saskatchewan forest with a high-speed internet connection to take good care of us and make sure the SEO is good to us on Google.
That's right. That's the SEO gnome.
The SEO gnome. SEO gnome. Well, that's a good name for a website.
That is. Wait a minute.
Make note. Yeah, SEO gnome. But yeah, you can catch us on the web. Let us know what you're thinking. You can also follow us by just hitting hashtag ETGChat. We'll follow it on our favorite Twitter follower, which is TweetDeck, and we will watch for anything you have to say to us. We'll make sure that we share it on the air or on the site.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Good show today. Last week we got into a little virtual.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, baby. Virtual reality. Did a great EdTech chat the other night on Monday night at EdTech chat, hashtag EdTech chat. And then later, hashtag EdTech after dark. Virtual reality came about in both those places. We kind of talked, but definitely EdTech chat. Really great stuff happening in the augmented reality world, virtual reality world for education. It is the hot bug. I would expect to see that throughout the summer at most workshops and conferences. Most convenience stores will have something about augmented reality in education. You'll be able to find it out. In fact, I think on the back of the current Cocoa Puffs, you can get a free cutout for, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
That could have been a thing. You know, you never know these days.
You reach out to General Mills. Hey, another idea, SEO gnome, virtual AR reality on the back of augmented reality on the Cocoa Puffs box.
There you go.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I think you've been smoking some Cocoa Puffs. Oh my gosh.
Getting a little crazy here.
Oh, it's a little crazy. So, just completely changing gears. As I was scrolling through the Twitterville earlier, I came across this article. No, I take that back. This was actually on my Facebook feed. I sit corrected. About a group of Kansas, and I can't remember now. I'll have to look up where they're from. But a group of Kansas journalism students who I don't know. The story gets a little murky, but essentially they got wind that their high school principal that the district had just hired wasn't quite on the up and up with her resume and credentials and what have you, and so they start doing some research and start digging deeper and asking questions and calling around and doing all the things that good journalists do, not like some of these quote unquote professional yahoos do.
Fake news.
Yeah, exactly. And so they came up with some seriously not fake news.
Yeah.
And completely outed her and turned it in and said, hey, this is what we found. And basically, according to our research, things just don't seem to add up. And the district, read over everything and did a little of their checking and
resigned.
Ultimately gave the principal the option to get out.
Okay, I better get out of here where I can.
Well, I'm sure they gave her the option to.
Sure, I bet.
But yeah, so I mean, that is awesome to me. That you talk about real world, problem-based learning. There you go. Here's a problem, and they solved it.
Yeah, that was what does that say?
Pittsburgh High School in southeastern Kansas.
Yeah.
So,
well, and under either Kansas law or U.S. law, high school journalists are afforded the same rights as a professional journalist.
Right. Yeah. So, they don't have to, there's not going to be any repercussions for them, basically digging up the story and taking it to its final conclusion.
Yeah. That's wild.
It's awesome. I mean, it really is. That's doing what journalists are supposed to do. I don't mean, go dig dirt on people. What I mean, though, is to, research the background and interview your sources, double check, triple check, make sure everything you're doing and everything that you're reporting is truth as you've been able to discover it, and then report it out. And there it is.
And that's exactly what they did.
It's exactly what they did.
And I know that opens up a huge can of worms for that district, because now I think someone stood up and said at the meeting and said, are we going to praise these students? And I think the superintendent was behind this the whole time, told the students to move forward with everything. But, that brings up a really great question is, how did all those adults miss that?
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
I'm sure that there is a lot of scrutiny now for that district's hiring practices and the adults that were responsible on that hiring team. How did we miss all this, fake credentials and, this kind of stuff? But yeah, so to all districts out there, you better be aware. The student journalists are on the job.
That's exactly. And kudos to them for it.
Yeah, frankly. That's really cool.
And speaking of kudos, they've been getting a lot of applause from professional journalists.
Yeah. So. Those kids need a Pepsi. Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to drop out to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to EduTechGuys.com. Don't just listen to us. Bring us into your district today for cool, exciting, professional development. We'll teach you and your students how to take podcasting to the next level and use it to reach your classroom and to reach the world. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTechGuys or head over to EduTechGuys.com. Scroll down on the page and fill out the form, and we'll be in touch. Bring EduTechGuys to your school.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to the EduTech Guys, coming to you live from the internet.
Live from the internet.
Now, if you're listening to us on the podcast, please share it. You can catch us on iTunes. You can catch us on SoundCloud. You can catch us on Stitcher. You can catch us on Google Play. Heck, find your favorite feeder out there, your RSS podcast feeder, and we're probably on it. We're picked up by several. But if you do, leave us a review. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, definitely let us know.
It's 4 to 5 stars. No, but really, if you wouldn't mind giving us a review, we would highly appreciate it. And you don't have to write a full one. Just click some stars and tell us what you think. It helps us know what's happening with our show.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us know, especially as Jeff has mentioned, jump out to edutechguys.com and jump to the form at the bottom, or heck, you can reach out to us directly, say on Twitter and just at EduTechGuys. And if there's a particular topic you'd like us to cover, throw that our way, and we'll be happy to talk about it. We'll talk about anything, ideally, education, technology related, but we talk about anything, whatever.
That's the darn truth. We will.
That's right. Hey.
And so talking about the show, let's jump back into it. Last week, we got into some VR and some stuff and talking about that. And this Monday, David and I participated in some EdTech chats on Monday. Tonight's Wednesday. There's a few tonight. I think we might try to jump out to. That's all. If you've never done an EdTech chat on Twitter, if you plan on really being part of it, you really kind of need 2 screens. You really kind of do sometimes. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to keep up and respond. But one way we continue to do that is TweetDeck. If you're looking for a free, easy way, TweetDeck allows you to, it's owned by Twitter. So you can log in with your Twitter account on TweetDeck and create multiple windows right there. So you can watch the hashtags fly by, keep up your other feeds and what you're doing right there. But, VR, AR, and MR, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality, they're pretty happening right now. They're kind of the buzzwords. Last week, David and I had the opportunity. I got to go with David to do an Oculus Rift presentation for some gifted and talented students from the area here in Southwest Arkansas that came to the Hempstead Hall to show off some of their presentations that they were working on, and then got to come up and try the Oculus Rift. Yeah. And let me tell you, no matter what you think about it or what you think, well, that's just blah, blah, blah. That's just a toy. That's not going to get kids excited. Well, you're wrong. Those kids were super excited.
Yes, exactly.
Really excited about the experience. And it was fun to watch them put it on because it was that same thing of like going to Six Flags or Disney World the first time when you're a kid and you see something that's kind of way out of your normal zone and you're looking around going, wow, this is so cool. Well, that happens like standing in one spot with a set of Oculus Rift goggles on.
Well, and what I thought was very interesting, and this happens, I've seen this a lot with students. I've seen it with adults when they put on, and it doesn't even have to be Oculus Rift. Anytime you put on the first time that they put on any kind of a VR headset, whether again it's Oculus Rift or whether it's like the ViewMaster VR or Google Cardboard, whatever it is, anything that blocks out the rest of the world. What I have found is that a lot of the folks, they stand there and they look straight ahead and they kind of move their head a little left and a little right to kind of look around. Oh, hey, almost like they're in a big screen, kind of IMAX environment. And it's at that point that I'm always like, look all the way up. Look all the way down. Wait, turn all the way around. Yeah. And then they realize, wait a minute, I'm not just looking at this, I'm in this environment.
Yeah.
And that really changes a lot of things. Now we just did the Oculus, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the experience deck or demo deck or whatever they call it. It's got several pieces that run. And the two favorite were oh my gosh, my brain
Gotham City rooftop.
Yeah, the rooftop and the dinosaur.
T-Rex.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with either of those, in the rooftop one, you are up on the roof of this very tall building, or at least, it looks tall, right? It's all VR. But you can get closer to the sensor, and as you do, on the screen, you are moving forward, and then you can lean over. And as you lean over, you're looking all the way down. There's traffic down there and there's trains. And it really freaks some people out because it really messes with your head. It's virtual reality. And
I almost fell down.
And then, that was, you're right. Actually, on that, when you were trying to lean around to the one side,
and I was like, whoa.
We had to catch him. And then the T-Rex one, this giant T-Rex comes walking up and gets in your face and roars at you and smells you and then walks right over you. It's awesome to watch those experiences. And are they educational? Not necessarily just as they are, right there, but it's an introduction to what you can do with VR. And that's kind of one of the things that we want to talk about today is what are some of those, actual educational applications. And so I was floating around playing on Twitter, and AWAP at AWWAPP at AWAP put out they shared an infographic that was actually done by a couple of other folks. And all of that, we'll tweet that out to you. But they have the top 10 reasons to use virtual reality in the classroom. And I think the ideas on that are really cool. I don't necessarily, I will tell you my takeaway. My takeaway from it is that several of those could have been lumped together. So let's just talk about some of those. One of the things they talk about is to travel to and explore places all over the world without leaving the classroom. Now, they separately list a couple of other things, such as the human body or going to space or oceans. To me, it's the whole concept of exploration. You can explore whatever the environment is inside that environment with those VR headsets on.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And that's the other cool part about it is when you get to the augmented reality part of that.
Yes.
Because that's so I think we kind of start talking about them side by side because there is a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
There are differences.
You're right.
And I think the interesting thing about augmented reality is that using it in a classroom or in a scavenger hunt or things like that is, when they point their device using whatever app at whatever they're looking for, then on their screen, they will have a pop-up or they will have another picture or another graphic that will explain what they're looking at or what the next clue is or anything like that. So, that's really neat too, especially if, in augmented reality, you have, say, all of the tools you need to dissect a frog on a tray in front of the kids. And as they pull their app up, it labels each one of those and tells them what they're going to use it for, and so on and so
Right.
on. But, in VR, there's the cool part. You don't need any of that. You put the goggles on, you grab the hand controllers, and you dissect the frog right there in the virtual world.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
And what's so great is you can actually do either application or both if things warrant it. So you could do a complete virtual frog dissection using your example with the virtual reality goggles and the hand controllers, where the students don't actually have a physical piece of dissection equipment in their hand. They're using these controllers and it's all on the screen in front of them. And or with the augmented side of that, they could, like you mentioned, actually have the tools there. They are actually manipulating the tools, but in their VR headset or on their phone or iPad or whatever they're holding there, whatever they're viewing, there's a virtual frog, and they're using maybe the real tools on a virtual frog.
Wow.
Or something similar to that, or maybe virtual tools on a real frog. I don't know. But there's all kinds of different ways where you mix that reality, that augmented reality with our actual reality.
That's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
They have a lot of great stuff on that list. And, one of the things on that list that David had was you could time travel to key events and places from the past. Well, that made me think, if you've not noticed on television lately, time travel shows are real big.
Real popular all of a sudden.
Well, I understand that several of them have been talking about the idea of making virtual inside the television show, so that when you can jack into the TV show, they start recording them virtually. So you're in every scene as the show is playing out.
Wow.
Think about what that would do to television in itself, like mystery shows and, doctor shows and hospital shows where you're standing in the surgery room where they're working on this patient or, blah, blah, blah. But especially in key travel events, past events, traveling to places, I noticed that one of the things was develop empathy for communities in crisis by stepping into their shoes. And that's a big keyword right now, empathy.
Yes.
Teaching our students empathy. And that's a big one. I think that's the most interesting aspect that you jump into with VR is you're actually putting the students, like David said, in a place. They're not just looking at it. Once they realize they're in it, mm-hmm. and they're actively in it. I mean, there's two forms of VR. One, you're in it and you're there as part of the crowd, but you're still there.
Right.
But then there's the active aspect of sometimes you're actively in it. You're controlling everything that happens in that virtual place that you are. So you could be on the Sudan, with a spear, and you have to hunt for your dinner or something like that. That really puts you into a completely different experience of what's happening out there.
Exactly. And a great example of that is an application called We Wait. And that puts the person who puts the VR headset on, that puts them in the role of a refugee on a raft in the water. And you go through that whole experience of, people are suffering as they're trying to make it across the ocean to find refuge. I mean, trying to find safety, and some people die, and some people, have to fight for their food, and there's, different soldiers that you have to, that you encounter, people who don't want you there, and, that kind of, and it really does, it creates that sense of, at least hopefully, creates that sense of empathy in students who are, disconnected and frankly desensitized to a lot of that stuff. A lot of folks say that, not just kids, but people in general, especially in America, have become desensitized to a lot of the plight of the other peoples around the world, because we're very comfortable. We have, most of us are very comfortable. I'm not going to say everybody is, but, most folks in America are very comfortable. Most folks, there is some kind of a roof over their head. They don't necessarily have to, I won't say worry about the next meal, but overall, they are able to get a meal, where there are other places where that is not the case.
Right.
They're going to go weeks potentially before somebody gives them a bowl of rice. I mean, and I don't think, especially as we're teaching students and bringing this up into students, into their world and into their, the forefront of their minds, I don't think they necessarily realize those types of things. And that's where I think some of this VR that builds the empathy really comes into play.
Well, and you're right, because in the modern first world,
Mm-hmm.
most people have been in a virtual reality at some point in their time for a few decades now. I mean, we have video games, we have movies, we have television. We forget that a large portion of the world does not have that.
Right.
So, but this takes it to that, and it's hard in a one-dimensional
Mm-hmm.
world, or two-dimensional even, to get that empathy and learn about other cultures and really feel it. This is going to take it to a whole new level.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But, I tell you what, we're going to drop out to a quick commercial. When we come back, David has a great list he's put together of lumping several of these things together and the reasons for it. Hey, we're going to drop out to a quick commercial. We'll be right back with EduTech Guys Radio.
Are you an educator, an administrator, work in the education technology field? Reach out to us at EduTechGuys on Twitter, or go to EduTechGuys.com and fill out the form to be a guest on an upcoming show. We'd love to hear your story and share it with the world. EduTechGuys.com.
All right, so we are talking VR and AR and all that good stuff. And again, it's not really my list. This was one that AWW, and again, that's at AWWAPP, the AW app. They posted it, and actually it looks like it was created by several other folks. But just talking about different ways that VR and AR can be used in classrooms. We talked about exploring other areas. We talked about empathy. Another thing is experiencing different careers firsthand and how it's used in various careers. So again, we talked a little bit about, dissecting frog, but there's also, virtual surgeries. There are construction VR applications. There are farming ones where, the wearer is actually in, say, a big green John Deere tractor, and they're using the controllers to manipulate the environment to drive these big machines. And by the same token, you can also use VR or talk about and educate students in how virtual reality is used in other careers as well. For example, real estate, where you can do virtual walkthroughs of actual houses. You can do 3D walkthroughs, and you might be saying, okay, well, why on earth would I ever want to do that? Well, think about this. If I'm living in, Pittsburgh, and I know that I'm going to be moving to Seattle, and there's a few houses that my real estate agent wants me to look at, I don't necessarily have to go all the way to Seattle for, a few days of house hunting. I can virtually walk through the houses using actual video from that house, get a feel for what's going on. And let's say the realtor gives me a dozen. Well, now I narrow it down to 2 or 3. And I say, okay, now we're narrowed down to 2 or 3. Now I can head out to Seattle and we're going to take a look. Or it may be, hey, I looked at these 2 or 3 and I've done a virtual walkthrough of this house. Looks great. That's the house I want. There you go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's going to open up, and I'll throw this up because the tech rabbi might be listening. When the kids start putting this on, and we're already seeing it, there are probably companies now that can go around to realtors. We know they exist with drones.
Sure.
A lot of realtors hire drone pilots to come out and video drone footage of properties.
Right.
So you get this really cool, outdoor view and, unhindered camera holding view of all the outdoor stuff. The same thing's going to happen for VR. And I mean, that VR opens up this whole new entrepreneurial avenue of, well, what's your job? Well, I do this VR for this specific company.
Exactly.
I do medical training, where we do VR of open heart surgery or knee replacement or hip replacement. And then doctors can drop it on and, practice and that kind of stuff. It's coming.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's going to, is it going to be a lot of people? It might. I mean, how many people do voiceovers and how many people do commercials and how many people write who are technical writers? It's just going to be one of that next thing. That's a cool entrepreneurial field, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, one of the other things you can do with your students using 360-degree cameras and various programming apps and development apps is you can have them create their own VR content and share that out. Okay, well, share that out. Share does not always mean give it away free.
Right.
Share could mean they're putting it on a site that's available for a nominal fee to download. And guess what? Boom, there you go. A prime example. There's a site called itch.io, itch.io. And they're real big with indie gamers, indie developers. Now, I would tell you flat out, there's a bunch of junk out there. But here's the thing. It's like anything. If I go to a magazine rack, yes, most of the magazines out there are quality magazines. Are there junk magazines?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same thing with this itch.io, but what the advantage is, those students could put their product, their project, whatever, out on to itch.io. They could offer it for free if they wanted to, but if they wanted, they could charge. They could say, hey, this is 99 cents. And then at that point, they become entrepreneurs and they begin to learn the whole concept of not really supply and demand, kind of the old school way of thinking, but is there a demand for their app? Do people like their app? What are people saying about it? What needs to be changed? What needs to be updated? So very, very cool. And then of course, just the whole promotion of curiosity and wonder, and I added joy and fear. I mean, that's one of the things we saw with students, and not just students, but many adults have, they experience fear through the VR for multiple reasons. If I'm afraid of heights and you stick me in an environment where I think I'm on top of a building with no safeguards, yeah, there's going to be some fear there.
Yeah.
Or I'm deathly afraid of snakes. Oh, it had to be snakes.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm in a VR world surrounded by snakes. Yeah, that could be a bit of a problem, right?
Yeah.
Now, could that also be used to help overcome and alleviate some of those fears? Possibly. I don't know if we know that yet, but who knows?
Yeah.
But all kinds of cool ways that VR can be used with students in the classroom. And I will tweet out, that graphic if we haven't already. We may have, I don't know.
Cool.
But yeah, so there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool stuff, man.
So, hey, we're going to drop out and take a listen to our artist of the week. This is one of our good friends. I hadn't played him in a while. This is the original Mr. C. He's doing the 3 M's, mean, median, and mode on EduTechGuys Radio. We'll be right back.
Mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode. Come on, everybody, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. The mean, median, and mode. So, mean, median, and mode. Everybody, come on, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. Mean, median, and mode. The mean, the mean. Come on, kids, really, it's not so bad. Grab your data numbers from the table, and first, you start to add. When you finally have them added up, then can you only divide? Because this is how you find the mean. Yes, the average number, that's right. Now that you found the average number, you see what I mean? Ha, ha, yeah. Come on, everybody, just do it again, please. Add them up and then you divide by the total number in the table, that's right. Add them up and then you divide by the total number in the table, that's right. Mean, median, and mode. Come on, everybody, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. The mean, median, and mode. So, mean, median, and mode. Everybody, come on, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. Mean, median, and mode. The mode. M-O-D-E. It's the number with the highest frequency. It's the number that you will most often see. Come on, everybody, find the mode with me. The mode. Mode. M-O-D-E. It's the number with the highest frequency. It's the number that you will most often see. Come on, everybody, find the mode with me. Mean, median, and mode. Come on, everybody, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. The mean, median, and mode. So, mean, median, and mode. Everybody, come on, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. Mean, median, and mode. For the third M, just think of a road. Median, the number in the middle for sure. Before you start driving for the median, take this one step before you begin. Order, please. It's the one thing requested by Mr. C. It's like a little mathematics guarantee. Make a thing so nice and so easy. Take a step from side to side. Only take one step at a time. You have a green light, now it's your time to shine. One from the left and one from the right. Take a step from side to side. Only take one step at a time. You have a green light, now it's your time to shine. One from the left and one from the right. Mean, median, and mode. Come on, everybody, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. The mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode. Everybody come on, so here we go. The 3 M's that you really need to know. Mean, median, and mode.
All right, music from the original Mr. C. That's the 3 M's, mean, median, and mode, right here on EduTech Guys Radio. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, you want to check us out? We're actually going to be live. One of the things that we love doing is providing live event coverage, and we're going to be at the Hot Springs Technology Institute. That's going to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and that's going to be June 12th through the 15th. And then we're hoping, cross our fingers and woohoo, hoping to be at Podstock, and that is in Wichita, Kansas, July. We'll probably be there the 12th and 13th. We're hoping anyway that things work out, and then we're probably going to be there one way or another. Yeah. So you definitely want to check out, do a Google search for Podstock, Wichita, Kansas. And it is such a cool, it's kind of an unconference tech conference. It's very, very cool, close-knit, family-like atmosphere. It's awesome. And and there's other things in the works that hopefully we'll come up with and be able to talk about later. And so definitely check us out. Again, you can keep up with all of that. Excuse me. You can keep up with all of that by following us on Twitter at EduTechGuys.
Yep. Good stuff will be out there. And, that rolls us right into
the Google tip of the week.
So Google
that's so Vegas cheesy.
I think isn't that what we're shooting for?
Yeah, pretty much.
So Google, always surprising us, has now surprised us once more.
Yeah, so check this out. Some of you may have heard of, Google does this thing where they have their own Wi-Fi access points. It's called Google Wi-Fi. And actually, I'll be honest, I had not even known that was a thing up until the Google tip came up, which is the Google tip is actually that Google Wi-Fi now makes scheduling internet time easier. They have a thing called Schedule Pause, and Schedule Pause basically does just that. It will freeze your internet so that no one can get on the internet for, at the allotted time for the allotted time frame to allow that, disconnect, get together, everybody stay off your screen. Yeah. Dinner time, hangout time. It may not be appropriate in certain circumstances, wherever Google Wi-Fi happens to be installed.
If you have a teenager, I know one of your biggest problems is that they go to bed,
right,
but they never go to sleep.
Yeah. Some
of them stay up all night or 3 or 4 hours watching videos and surfing the net. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to, I'm just going to shut the net off at 11 o'clock every night and it'll come back on at 6 in the morning. So,
right.
And I'm going to shut it off at dinner time. And that's pretty cool.
I think it's very cool. So we'll tweet out that tip of the week and you can read more about that and see what it's all about. So cool stuff from Google.
Yeah, Google always has the good stuff. Hey, listen, we're also going to retweet. We've tweeted it several times, but the good doc last time got us a wonderful document.
Oh, yeah.
With over 600 Google expeditions in a Google spreadsheet. As many people have found out, it's wonderful, and it's got so much stuff on it, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
So that one will probably continue to be a little extra added bonus Google tip of the week for several weeks because we'd like to make sure you get a hold of that. And if you're looking for that cool VR experience, Google Expeditions is one way to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, another great show.
Hey, awesome. And thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it so, so much.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
And I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on this site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.